everyone, you're watching Buy Now, Sell Now, the weekend edition. I'm Mubina Kapasi and we have a jam-packed show for you today. First up, some stocks that we'll be discussing on the show. Well, there'll be SBI as well as NBCC, some of the public sector units. And as always, we'll have our portfolio segment where we'll be discussing Sanjeev Raman's portfolio. So let's get on board all of our experts to help you through with the markets and of course give you their top picks. On the fundamentals, we'll be joined by AK Prabhakar. He's the head of research at IDBI Capital Markets. And on the technicals, Chandan Taparia, the analyst for technical and derivatives at Anand Rathi Financial Services. Hello gentlemen and welcome to the show. Well, let's get on board our viewer queries then. And first up, we have an email query coming in from Bangalore. We have Venkat Ramana who has emailed us his query. He says he has bought 1,000 shares of State Bank of India, which he's purchased at a price point of 280 rupees per share. And he wants to know, should he hold or sell? He has a fairly long-term time horizon. So let's get straight to it. Mr. Prabhakar, let's go over to you first. SBI from the public sector units. Do remember that we did have Canara Bank, which reported its results on Friday. It was quite a dismal set of numbers, but it may have given a sort of cue as to what we can expect from the public sector banks. So while, of course, that may not be an apples-to-apple comparison, Mr. Prabhakar, what's your own sense on the fundamentals for State Bank of India?
See, I feel State Bank of India with 22,000 branches would be the beneficiary of whatever has happened, which is demonetization, and now we are getting into the digital mode also. Now, if the reach which State Bank of India has, I don't think any other bank can have that kind of reach. So if that is the case, if a lot of people have to get into the banking, there are villages which are unbanked. So State Bank is the best option for anyone to get into it. So I think State Bank will be a unique, with 22,000 branches and with the merger of subsidies, and it is a different play compared to other PSU also. So I will advise the client to hold. He has bought it at a very high level. Post result, I think you can average, seeing the results, State Bank can be averaged at these levels. I think it is a good hold and a good buy at lower levels also.
All right, hold on to State Bank of India. In fact, it's one of the better bets in the PSU banking space. Chandan, come in then on the technicals at 250 odd levels where State Bank is currently trading at. What would you advise him?
Yes, the stock has done well in the early part of this year, and but now finding some pressure at higher levels. It is multiple support near to 235, 240 zone where he can go for the averaging. Overall, I'm looking for a potential upside move to us 288 then 320 level. So it's a good stock in the entire PSU banking stock. If it comes near to 235, 240 zone, he can even go for the averaging and may expect the movement of around 15 to 20% from the current levels.
Okay, fairly positive on the stock, on the technicals as well as the fundamentals. In fact, Chandan advises that you may average out at lower levels. There is upside of 15 to 20% from there on. Let's move on to our next query. It's another query coming in from Bangalore once again. It's Srinivas who has sent us his query. Now, he says he's bought 1,500 shares of NBCC at 246 rupees per share, and he wants to know whether to hold or sell. He has a fairly short-term time horizon of 3 months. Mr. Prabhakar, let's just go across to you then. NBCC, remember that it did get a whopping big new project recently from AIMS to build a new housing unit, and that project was valued at 4,700 crore rupees. So, it does look like it has a healthy pipeline. In fact, analysts also say that the earnings are expected to grow at a CAGR of 30% during FY16 to 19. So, Mr. Prabhakar, are you as well, particularly enthused by the fundamentals of this company?
Yeah. See, NBCC order book, the visibility is very high. They have almost 70,000 crores in the next 5 to 6 years. They have to execute this order. And if you notice, last year top line was 6,000 crores. So if they have to execute an order backlog of 70,000 crores, now in next 3 years they have to scale it up from 6,000 to 15,000 crores. That should be the speed which they have to double or triple their order, execution speed. So if that is the case, the margin also will start to expand, and the profitability also, there is a visibility in the company. So I think the short term itself, I look at a target of 310, and in long term I think the targets can be even higher. So it is a very good buy on dips also, but maybe there could be short term pressure due to the budget and other things, but these are good times to buy these kind of stocks which have visibility.
Okay, so I think that net the advice would be that, of course, in the short term, there may be some near-term pressure. So, if you could be patient, you could hold on to NBCC for some more time as there is more upside potential if, of course, your time horizon of 3 months could be extended. But on the technicals, to have a look at NBCC, it's had quite a bad week, actually 6% gone last week for NBCC. So, Chandan, what's your own sense on where we can see the stock move?
Yes, medium-term trend of the stock is quite positive, but on immediate basis, we might see a profit booking decline. So on decline, I'm expecting it to find support near to 240, and from there on, it may again head towards 300 kind of level. So I think he can continue to be with the position, but on immediate basis, we may see a decline, which may start the next phase of letting the counter.
All right, that's a view on NBCC. Hope you've taken note of all of those queries, or rather that advice coming in from our experts. Let's slip into a short break, but when we come back, we'll be discussing Sanjeev Raman's portfolio on the show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is Buy Now, Sell Now Weekend, and time to get on board our portfolio segment where we'll be discussing today the portfolio of Sanjeev Raman. Let's tell you a bit about him. He's 48 years of age. He's based in Gurgaon, and he is essentially employed at this point of time. He has a fairly long-term time horizon of between 1 to 2 years. So let's run you through what are the stocks that have found a place in his portfolio. First up, heavyweight L&T has found a place in his portfolio, purchased at 1,001 rupees. There's 339 shares of L&T. Bharat Electronics as well, bought at 1,410. Then there's Asian Paints, which he's bought at 589 rupees. So that's a relatively attractive price where he's purchased that stock. Moving on to Sharda Cropchem, 454 rupees is where he's purchased that one at 500 shares of those. Axis Bank at 475, ICICI Bank as well from the private sector banking space at 280, and so is Yes Bank at 1,411 rupees. Then we have LIC Housing Finance, which he's purchased at 172 rupees. NBCC purchased at 173 rupees, where once again he's got his buy price right. Kajaria Ceramics then from the consumer space purchased at 487 rupees, about 200 shares of that stock. Syntex Industries, 1,500 shares purchased for 81 rupees. And lastly, Eicher Motors, 20 shares purchased at 21608. So let's take you through what exactly is the advice for all of the stocks in this portfolio. And Mr. Prabhakar, if you look at it, most of the stocks are mostly focused on the private sector banking space and even in fact the NBFC space, and a lot of heavyweight names as well. So let's take you through the first three stocks in his portfolio. There's L&T, which has been purchased at quite an attractive price of 1,001 rupee, BEL at 1410, and Asian Paints as well. The buy price is very attractive at 589. So what's your sense on these three stocks?
See, Larsen, it is a long-term growth stock, but it is in a pain period because crude prices in an intermediate came down and now it is recovering. So, L&T, it takes time for companies which execute mega projects. So, I think, we have a hold with a price target of 1,467. So, it is a hold, and long-term prospect of this stock looks very good. Maybe as the project visibility comes and the execution starts to improve, we will revise our target. So it is better to hold on to the stock. Next is BEL. BEL is a different play. Our government focus is on Make in India. And most of the projects which they do is for defense, satellite related things, and even for voting machines they are doing it, and they have bought 700 acres of land in Andhra and they are getting into expansion. Their net profit margin is almost 18.6%. So this company is likely to grow, and I think the target could be as high as 3,050 if you are ready to wait for 2 to 3 years. Next is Asian Paints. The management has come and said, we are not expecting the margins to sustain. So if management is not so confident and if the business environment is going to be tough, I think there is an alternative to the stock. So we will advise Castrol for a target price of 515.
All right, L&T and BEL get a thumbs up from Mr. Prabhakar, but Asian Paints, well, not so positive on the fundamentals, and he advises that you may replace it with a Castrol, where he's watching out for targets of 515 rupees. Let's move on to the next three stocks in his portfolio. And first up, small cap or rather mid cap company Sharda Cropchem has been purchased at 454 rupees. Then there's Axis Bank, a result candidate which has been hammered in trade. In fact, on Friday, purchased at 475 rupees. And from the private sector bank, it's ICICI Bank at 280 rupees, where once again he's not making a lot of money. So, Mr. Prabhakar, what's your sense on these three stocks?
See, Sharda Crop, we don't have a coverage, so I cannot talk on the stock. But I have an alternative for that. I think HCL Tech at these levels are looking at attractive, and we have a price target of 1,000 rupees for that. Axis Bank result was a disappointment. Now, so safer to convert into a growth stock. So I like Power Grid. So one can convert to Power Grid. We have a target of 350 on Power Grid. Next is ICICI Bank. Again, Axis and ICICI Bank, the asset quality is a concern. So we will go to bank which is giving good results and where growth prospect is very good. So IndusInd Bank is what I would recommend for a target of 1378. So these are the shift which I think all the three stocks, I think there is a shift for us.
Okay, not exactly very enthused with the Sharda Crop, Axis Bank or ICICI Bank. In fact, those are the stocks that Mr. Prabhakar is recommending, and HCL Tech, Castrol as well as IndusInd Bank. Those are the stocks that he advises you may replace with Sharda, Axis and ICICI Bank. Let's move on, and there's some more private sector banks and in fact NBFCs as well that have found a place in his portfolio. Yes Bank at 1411 rupees, a bit of a concern when it comes to the pricing. LIC Housing Finance at 172 and NBCC at 173. Mr. Prabhakar, of course you do have a positive coverage on NBCC, but what would you advise on Yes Bank and LIC Housing Finance?
Yes Bank came with a fantastic result. Now maybe my analyst would be upgrading the price target. So the previous price target was 1,330. So it is we advise to hold on to the stock. Now the company is growing regularly on a quarter-to-quarter basis. LIC Housing Finance, yes. Now again this is one stock where we like it and we have a price target of 560. And LIC Housing Finance, the LTV is one of the lowest. So I think this is a growth stock for a long-term investor. You have to just hold on for 2 or 3 years. You will get a very good price target. NBCC, your short-term price target is 310, but when they start to execute the order size, I think it can even double. So I think this is also a very good hold.
All right, Yes Bank, of course, as we know, did deliver a very strong set of numbers in Q3. LIC Housing as well is a long-term story, and NBCC, a target of 310 is what Mr. Prabhakar is watching out. But in the short term, of course, if you can hold on, then there is more potential returns to be made. But moving on, the next three stocks, Kajaria Ceramics at 487, then the Syntex Industries at 81 rupees, which is doing fairly well for him. And lastly, Eicher Motors. What's your sense on how these three stocks can do for our viewer?
See, Kajaria Ceramic is a growth stock, but we don't have a coverage and we effectively don't track it. So we feel a company like Power Grid, where the net profit margin is 30%, and in the last 5 years, the top line has doubled from 10,000 crores to 20,000 crores. So that is what we would recommend. We expect the stock to more than nearly double in next 3 years. Now 350 is our target in Power Grid, so that is a growth stock. We would advise to be in those stocks. Syntex, it is in a space where a lot of unorganized players are there with the GST and demonetization. This is likely to benefit more. So hold on, the target is 110. Eicher Motor, yes, it is a niche product company and they are innovating themselves. So we have a target of 18,769. Hold on to the stock.
Okay, not so positive on Kajaria Ceramics. In fact, Mr. Prabhakar advises that you can replace it with a Power Grid. Syntex, however, does get a thumbs up, and so does Eicher Motors, as the company, of course, is known for its innovation. So that's the advice coming in on all of the stocks. Do remember, of course, that this is just a model portfolio, and we do advise you to consult your individual investment advisor before taking any investment decisions. Let's just slip into another break. Once again, when we come back, we'll be getting you recommendations on the technical as well as the fundamental side of the market. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is Buy Now, Sell Now weekend, and let's talk markets. And clearly, that has been meriting all of the attention. Remember that Friday, of course, we did see quite a cut come in. So as you can see in the last week, while we did hold on quite steadily in the first 4 days of the week, we did see a deep cash come in on the last trading day of the week. Chandan, let's get in a sense on what exactly are you, what are the levels that you're monitoring for the Nifty? Do you think that there could be further downside, especially given the fact that we do have Donald Trump, who's going to become the president of the United States?
Yes, after the consolidation of last 6 trading session, market has broken the multiple support of 83.75 zone, and that's why we have seen some profit booking decline in the market. While on the higher side, it has felt multiple hurdle near to 84.40, 84.60, and interesting that is the adjustive gap in the market, and that's why we might see some decline in the market. But on downside, 83.15 and 82.80 would be the immediate support for next coming trading session. So even on decline, I'm looking market to find support near to the major level. While on upside now, 84.40 is likely to act as a major hurdle going forwards.
All right, on the upside, 84.40 is where we might find a bit of a hurdle for the benchmark index. But Mr. Prabhakar and Chandan are still going to give us their top picks. So Chandan, let's go across first to you then. And on the technicals, what exactly is it that you would like to point out?
Yes, we have seen selling pressure in the market on last trading session, and because of that, most of the stocks are losing their momentum. But here I have selected to go long on HCL Tech. The trade is because of the multiple consolidation, and the stock is all set to give the fresh breakout as it holding the gains. On weekly basis, we have seen a small narrow range pattern in the counter and looking some positive action in coming trading sessions. So recommending to buy with a small stop loss of 820 for the upside target towards 875 level. While second trade will be the from pharma peg that is on the sell side. Dr. Reddy has been making lower top, lower bottom formation, and now near to the multiple support, and it all set to give the fresh downside decline and the breakdown from the current price juncture. So because of breakdown on the weekly chart, the stock might see the fresh round of selling pressure. So recommending to sell with a stop loss of 3,000 for the downside target towards 2,800 levels.
Okay, a buy on HCL Tech, but a sell call coming in on Dr. Reddy's on the technicals from Chandan Taparia. But for investors who have more of a long-term time horizon, Mr. Prabhakar, tell us what exactly makes it to your list of wealth creation ideas.
Yeah, I have 3 stocks in my radar. One is UFO Movies, where we have a target of 770. The second is Power Grid, where a long-term target of 350. And third one is Castrol, where a target of 515 is there. And importantly, UFO Movies is in the business of digital satellite distribution of movies for single screen and 2 screen, where they have almost 5,000 theaters in their tie-up, and they also do in cinema advertisement. What has happened is after demonetization, this stock has corrected and it has not recovered. So it becomes very attractive to buy at these levels, and once the results comes, we will know what is the impact. Maybe there can be a slowdown in the growth of in cinema advertisement, but it will be limited to 1 or 2 quarters. I don't think it will be more than that. So I think for a long-term investor, UFO Movies offer a very good returns. And next is Power Grid, which has a very good net profit margin, almost 30%. And the company is having a huge debt. And with interest rates falling, I think the interest cost is likely to come down. That is going to be the major booster for the company, and their revenues from telecom and consultancy is also starting to improve, which is likely to show some more margin expansion going forward. And this stock in last 5 years has seen revenue double. So in the next 3 years also, I am expecting revenue to increase by 50 to 70%, which will now come to the price target which I have given. Castrol is one company which has a high ROE, and it has been a consistent performer. So I think this stock will deliver the price target in next 1 year.
All right, UFO Movies, Power Grid as well as Castrol, all are some wealth creation ideas from Mr. Prabhakar. But gentlemen, thank you so much then for joining us on Buy Now Sell Now weekend with your top ideas. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of the show. Thank you for watching and have a lovely weekend.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.